Part 25. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 241. Rorschach had expected the shock from the Machine Tribe, Monster Tribe, and Zerg Tribe. So after the original will of the original universe told him that these three major groups had temporarily lost the idea of assassinating him, he just smiled and did not take it to heart. Rorschach is now more eager to see his elder brother than those who want him dead. He entered the interior of the Star Tower, and before he could look around, a mysterious voice sounded in his mind. "Come on, kid." At the same time as the sound sounded, a mysterious force enveloped him, and then a space channel opened in front of him. Rorschach did not resist this force. He was carried by the mysterious force and rushed into the space passage. The passage was colorful and the surrounding space was distorted. Stars outside the gorgeous passage could be vaguely seen. After a while, the mysterious power that held Rorschach suddenly disappeared. Rorschach flew out of the passage and fell completely. He glanced around, then turned over and landed lightly on the ground like a feather. This is a vast and magnificent hall. Above this hall, there are 9 pillars that are tens of thousands of kilometers long, and in the sky above the hall, there are huge stars floating in front, back, left and right. The stars are shining brightly, making this hall seem to be wandering in the stars. Xiao Xia. In front of the main hall, eldest brother Luo Feng stood together with a man with a snake body. "Brother." Rorschach stepped forward to greet him. The two brothers had not seen each other for thousands of years and missed each other very much. After getting close, they opened their arms and hugged each other. "Brother, have you obtained the inheritance of Star Tower?" Rorschach asked. Luo Feng smiled slightly, nodded, and then introduced the old man with the snake body next to Luo Xia. "This is the guardian of the Star Tower, Lord Puti. He guided you here." Lord Puti. Luo Xia saluted. Puti looked at Rorschach, with a friendly smile on her face with a purple beard. "Rorschach, you are finally here. I have been paying attention to you since you rose up in the human race genius war. Follow me." Rorschach showed a confused look. Puti explained. "Because you are the most powerful genius of the Earth lineage created by the teacher. Your understanding is so high that even the teacher is amazed by it. The teacher and I once thought that you would be the best master of the Star Tower, but you have never come. And finally it was your eldest brother Luo Feng who came here first. Your eldest brother Luo Feng did not disappoint us. Although his understanding is not as strong as yours, his determination is no worse than anyone else. He has survived more than 6,000 years of inheritance and is now the master of the Star Tower." Puti used the word boil when describing inheritance. It is enough to show how difficult it is to inherit the Star Tower. Luo Xia couldn't help but look at Luo Feng. Luo Feng smiled slightly at Luo Xia. "Let's not talk about it for now." Puti looked at the two brothers and smiled. "Come with me. Your eldest brother just completed the inheritance, and then you arrived. Now come with me to meet the teacher." After speaking, he took Luo Xia and Luo Feng forward. Not long after, at the end of the hall, Luo Xia and the others saw a towering figure. He is more than 900 meters tall, wearing cyan armor and with transparent horns on his forehead. He is currently looking down at Luo Feng and Luo Xia. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked up at the towering figure almost at the same time. This figure gives them a very special feeling of intimacy. His whole body was filled with endless aura, but this aura did not feel oppressive. It gave Luo Xia and Luo Feng the feeling of warmth and comfort like sunshine. "Teacher." Puti respectfully saluted the majestic figure. The majestic figure nodded slightly, motioning for Puti to stand beside him, then looked at Luo Feng, showed a friendly smile, and said, "Congratulations, from now on, you are the leader of the Earth lineage, and you are qualified to be ranked the forest of superpowers in the universe." Puti also smiled at this time and said, "Third junior brother, congratulations. Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia, then looked at the towering old man and Puti above. Before he could say anything, the towering old man continued. The Earthlings and the Yan Shen clan are all my children. Luo Feng, you have gone through many tests in secret and been recognized as the master of the Star Tower. You are my disciple, and you are probably my last disciple. Luo Feng looked surprised and looked at the towering old man. He hesitated to speak. After a while, he carefully asked, Teacher, don't you plan to accept Luo Xia as a disciple? When the towering old man heard this, he burst out laughing, his voice roaring like thunder in the hall. He said with emotion, Rorschach has another inheritance, and the inheritance he got is no worse than the inheritance he got from me. The star sacred tree, I thought that existence had fallen, but I didn't expect that he would also come to this primitive universe and put himself inheritance to the children I created. The towering old man shook his head and looked at Luo Feng below, so it's not that I won't accept him, it's just that, for Luo Xia, he has already received an inheritance that is no different from mine. Moreover, I have spent countless efforts on you and your second senior brother. Most of the wealth and treasures I have gained over countless years belong to you too. Even Puti, I didn't help much. Even if I accepted Rorschach, the help I could give him wouldn't be much. Puti on the side heard the words and said quickly, Teacher, without your help, I am afraid that this disciple will be an immortal god in his life. The towering old man said, You can become the Lord of the universe without me. The many servants I recruited back then were all very talented, and I helped each one. But in the end, only you became the Lord of the universe, and they were just the Lord of the universe. Your qualifications are not bad. It's just that the treasures are a bit missing. Puti said, Disciple already has a treasure. What kind of treasure is that of yours? Among the masters of the universe of many ethnic groups, your treasure is only average. The majestic old man shook his head, Now I am preparing a treasure for you. After collecting endless eras, I already have a rough prototype. It is estimated that it will be successfully refined in tens of millions of eras. After hearing the old man's words, Puti knelt down excitedly and said respectfully and gratefully, What the teacher has done for the disciples, it is hard to repay the disciples for all their efforts. The majestic old man laughed loudly, As my disciple, you should be extraordinary. I just hope that one of the three of you can catch up with me. If you can all catch up with me, that would be the best, by then, you will be the best in the universe. A great story, both master and disciple are the strongest in the universe. After laughing for a while, he looked at Luo Xia with emotion and said, After learning about your existence, I once thought that you would be the leader of the Earth lineage, but I didn't expect that it was Luo Feng who finally came to the Star Tower. Luo Feng did not disappoint me. You two brothers are very good. Not bad. Luo Xia, how is the inheritance of the Star God King? It's hard. Rorschach answered truthfully. When he first accepted the inheritance of the Star Sacred Tree, he faced the origin of the universe directly. The endless pressure was much more terrifying than the grinding process of recognizing the master of the Star Tower. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 242. Chapter 242 The Believer's Philosophy, Happy Spring Festival to everyone. In this primitive universe, Mountain Rider is definitely the strongest group, but even he cannot act rashly when facing the primitive universe, because his body is here, and the primitive universe can suppress it if it wants. This shows how powerful the origin of the original universe is. At that time, Luo Xia accepted the inheritance of the Star Divine Tree and directly faced the source of the original universe. Not everyone could bear the vast and endless pressure. I. If Rorschach hadn't made his soul very special and powerful due to time travel, he might not have been able to complete the inheritance of the Star Sacred Tree. Puti asked with some confusion, Teacher, who is the Star God King? Luo Feng was a little confused about the name Star God King. God King, what realm is this? How does it compare to the strongest man in the universe? When the tall old man heard the disciple's question, he looked a little nostalgic, and after a while he said, I have never met the Star God King, but I know his name. He is an extremely powerful existence. Even when I was at my strongest, when I faced the Star God King, the outcome was only 5 points. The number of 5. Luo Xia and the three of them were very surprised. Especially Puti. He knew how powerful sitting mountain guest was. Although he didn't know how powerful the teacher was at his strongest period, it was definitely beyond his imagination. But even for such a powerful teacher, when facing the Star God King, the outcome was only the same. Between brothers. Okay, there are some things that you should not understand yet. Let's not talk about the matter of the Star God King for the time being. The mountain guest said, looked at Luo Feng, and continued, since you are my disciple, I, as the teacher, should fulfill my responsibilities. He said in a leisurely tone, I have 3 habits in teaching my disciples. First, I like to prepare the best resources and conditions in the universe for my disciples. Second, I will not teach any secret method. Third, are you alive or not? I won't care if you die, and it's even more impossible for me to reverse time and space and resurrect you after you die. Luo Feng was a little surprised when he heard this. Luo Xia nodded secretly. Don't teach the secret method, it's because the secret method you create is the most suitable for you. For example, the inheritance of the Star God King. The inheritance Rorschach received was only the Star Sacred Tree, and there were no other secret techniques or anything like that. As for regardless of life or death, it is easy to understand. I have given you the best resources, but if you still die on the way to the highest peak, that is your own fate. Sishinki continued. I think you should understand the truth behind what I said. There is a saying on your planet that is very good, the master leads you in, and cultivation depends on the individual. If a disciple doesn't practice and doesn't work hard on his own, as a teacher, no matter how many resources or good treasures I give him, it will be nonsense for him to become immortal. External resources are important, but one's own efforts are the key to progress and growth. The further the strength goes, the smaller the role of external resources. I may be able to spend a lot of resources to train you to become the Lord of the Universe, but when you reach the level of the Lord of the Universe, or at my current level, just having cultivation resources and treasures is no longer useful. The mountain guest looked at Luo Feng and Luo Xia. Although he did not accept Rorschach as his disciple, Rorschach was still a life created by him. I don't mind mentioning a few words at this time. Puti and your second senior brother are both trapped in the endless years of the Lord of the Universe. It is too difficult to step into the level of the strongest person in the universe without innate understanding. Among your human race, only the founder of Giant Axe, those who have taken this step, others, including the Lord of Chaos City, are still trapped at the level of the Lord of the Universe. Luo Feng lowered his head and said respectfully, disciple understands that I must work hard. He knew very well that what Sishinki said was right. Luo Feng is also very confident and thinks that his understanding and talent are not bad. Next, sitting mountain guest introduced Luo Feng in detail about the treasures prepared for him, the Star Tower and the Tribulation Armor. Because Jijio was temporarily stored in the Yanshen clan, Sishinki only gave a rough introduction, focusing on the Star Tower. An accident occurred during the refining process of the Star Tower by mountain guest, and it became very special and extremely powerful. Under the leadership of Sishinki, Luo Xia followed Luo Feng and got a taste of the internal structure of the Star Tower. They came to a misty-colored space. At a glance, the entire space is densely covered with water drops of different colors. Luo Feng, do you know what these are? Mountain guest asked, pointing to the water beads. Luo Feng shook his head. There were millions of these water drops, but he couldn't see anything special about them. This is the future of your Earth lineage. The mountain guest said in a leisurely tone. Luo Feng and Luo Xia looked at each other. Is this the future of mankind on Earth? The mountain guest pointed at the water drop and said, these are the offspring of the supreme treasure original soul that I created. They are the soldier soul, the general soul, the king soul and the emperor soul. They can greatly improve the souls of the people on Earth force. The soul of a soldier can be fully carried by an ordinary human realm master at his peak. The general soul can be carried 100 times as much as the peak human world lord. The king's soul can carry 10,000 times more than the peak human realm lord. The emperor's soul can carry 1,000,000 times the power of the peak human world lord. Here, there are a total of 1,000,000 soldier souls, 100,000 general souls, 10,000 king souls, and 1,000 emperor souls. With these original soul sub-bodies, you can create 1,000,000 powerful spiritualists on Earth. Speaking of this, the hermit looked at Luo Feng, disciple, your soul strength is comparable to that of immortal gods, but your willpower has surpassed most of the universe masters. You can use the general soul. You can take 2 general souls, one for your earthling clone and one for your golden horned beast clone. As for Luo Xia, the hermit looked at Luo Xia, your soul is extremely powerful, and your willpower is unparalleled, enough to use the emperor soul, you take 2 emperor souls. Luo Xia saluted respectfully and took away 2 golden water beads. Okay, next, I'll take you to have a good look around here, the hermit said, and then pointed forward, and unexpectedly created something out of thin air, creating a huge cruise ship. Luo Feng was stunned by the surprise. Luo Xia's face was calm and indifferent. This kind of creation out of thin air, with his current status as the master of the original universe, can also be done. Like the strongest person in the universe like Zhou Shankei. The original universe will give them a certain respect, allowing them to do what they say, such as letting the flame freeze the target like ice, and directly end the life of the person. When you reach the level of the strongest person in the universe, you can rewrite the laws of the universe at will. Of course, the premise is that the strongest person in the universe is not hostile to the original universe. If it is hostile to the original universe, it will take back this privilege and suppress the strongest person with the endless pressure of the origin. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 243. Soon, the tour of the 9 light-year high star tower was completed under the leadership of the mountaineer. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. If Luo Xia and the others were allowed to visit such a tall tower on their own, it would probably take several months, but under the leadership of the mountain guest, the time was shortened to half a day. At the end, the mountain guest warned Luo Feng carefully and left directly. At this time, only Puti, Luo Xia, and Luo Feng were left in the hall. Senior brother, I'm ashamed to say that I still don't know the teacher's name. Luo Feng only dared to ask Puti after the mountain guest left. He is not Rorschach. Because he knows the plot, he knows the name of the mountain guest. Puti laughed and said, no one knows the teacher's real name, but because the teacher often sits cross-legged on the mountain, crossing the endless universe, the super beings in the vast universe gave the teacher a title, mountain sitting guest. Where is the second senior brother? Luo Feng asked again. Your second senior brother's real name is Cao Benkai, and he is called Emperor Yan by the super powerful people in the universe, Puti replied with a smile. Teacher Sishinki, second senior brother Yan Emperor. Luo Feng nodded and silently wrote down these names. Puti said at this time, the Earth lineage finally has a leader. Now that the matter of the Star Tower is over, I can also give myself a holiday. Third junior brother, Luo Xia, I will leave first. As he finished speaking, he smiled and disappeared from the hall using the law of space. In the main hall, only two brothers were left at this time. Luo Feng sighed and said to Luo Xia, I am a teacher who is really loose in disciplining his disciples. He accepted me as his disciple, and then just introduced me to the Star Tower and left like that. Master, let me in. Cultivation is up to you. Rorschach smiled. Luo Feng looked at the stars suspended around him and said expectantly, this Star Tower is extremely powerful. Although I have recognized it as its master now, I don't know when I can actually drive it. Speaking of which, Xioxia, yours is the star sacred tree ready to be driven. Rorschach nodded, it should be because my soul is stronger than yours. I can easily drive the star tree, but to truly exert its power, I may need to become the Lord of the universe, or something higher. It's the realm that matters. Above the Lord of the universe is the strongest person in the universe, but I heard the teacher just talking about your teacher. It seems that the realm of the God King is stronger than the strongest person in the universe. Do you know? Luo Feng asked doubtfully. My teacher told me that on top of the strongest person in the universe, there are realms such as the true God of the Void, the true God of Eternity, the Lord of Chaos, and finally the God King realm. Rorschach replied. Luo Feng looked shocked when he heard this. Are there so many realms beyond the strongest person in the universe? He thought thoughtfully, Teacher Sishinki actually knows your teacher, and was evenly matched with your teacher at his peak. Doesn't this mean that Teacher Zoshanka was once a super strong man at the level of a God King? Doubt, if Teacher Sishinki was once so powerful, why is he now the strongest person in the universe? Hearing this, Luo Xia shook his head and said, Brother, our current strength is not enough to explore such a secret. That's true. Luo Feng nodded and temporarily put away the doubts in his heart. He stepped out, a space channel opened in front of him, and said to Luo Xia, Xiao Xia, wait for me for a while, I want to collect some ceiling stars. Rorschach nodded, no problem, I'm right here. Luo Feng nodded and entered the space channel directly to collect the ceiling stars. After a while, Luo Feng came back excitedly. Now Luo Feng, who has been inherited by the mountain guest, has a deep foundation and many treasures, which are even more outrageous than many cosmic sages. By the way, Xioxia, I haven't asked you yet, weren't you on the first battlefield before? Luo Feng looked at his brother with some confusion, how did you get here? I enslaved the original universe. Luo Xia said it was Wangjia. Luo Feng was stunned for a while, then he opened his mouth wide with an expression of what are you talking about, and looked at Luo Xia blankly, huh? Because I enslaved the original universe, wherever I want to go in the original universe now is just a matter of thought, Rorschach said with a smile. Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia blankly, enslaving the original universe, is this kind of thing real or fake? Xioxia, do you know what you are talking about? After a while, Luo Feng suppressed his words. Rorschach nodded, looked at his brother who still couldn't believe it, and said, I know, I said I enslaved the original universe, brother, you should know, I will never lie to you. Luo Feng smiled bitterly, I don't think you are lying to me, I just think that enslaving the original universe or something, how is this possible? Nothing is impossible. Luo Xia smiled, when I accidentally learned that the original universe had a will, I was thinking about it. Later, after receiving the inheritance of the Star God King, I looked for opportunities to carry out it. Of slavery. Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia. He knew that his brother's words were simple, but the danger involved was beyond his imagination. In fact, this is also true. At that time, if there was no Star God King to help, Rorschach blocked the supreme rule. At the same time, the special shining golden ball in his sea of consciousness was also broken. It was impossible for him to successfully enslave the original universe. The final result is to stay in the prison of the original universe just like the original ancestor. By the way, brother, I learned from the original universe that there is a powerful person in our human race who is suppressed by it. Because I am the master of the original universe now, I can release him. Rorschach said suddenly. Luo Feng was stunned for a moment, then asked, who was suppressed by the original universe? Original ancestor Luo Xia said. Original ancestor, Luo Feng's expression became even more confused. Luo Xia said, I heard from the original universe that the original ancestor was once the strongest of our human race. The current founder of the giant axe and our teacher Chaos City Lord are all his disciples. Luo Feng wondered, how could such a powerful being be suppressed by the original universe? Luo Xia smiled and said, because the original ancestor once wanted to seize the original universe. Luo Feng suddenly stopped talking. What is this all about? My younger brother wants to enslave the primitive universe. The once strongest human being wants to seize the primitive universe. Who did this primitive universe provoke? Luo Feng shook his head, looked at his younger brother and said, the matter regarding the original ancestor, we can make plans after we consult our teacher, the Lord of Chaos City. Rorschach nodded, okay. He looked at Luo Feng and said, brother, sister-in-law and parents are very worried about you. You'd better enter the virtual universe and report to them that you are safe. Then we can go back to the Earth directly from here. Luo Ping told me not long ago that the Spring Festival is coming soon. I hope you and we can all go back and have a good reunion. Luo Feng looked a little dazed, is the Spring Festival coming again on Earth? Okay, I'll go online and tell your sister-in-law and the others, and then we'll go back. I haven't celebrated the New Year at home for many years. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 244. When Luo Feng entered the virtual universe, Luo Xia did not follow him in. Not long ago, he had already met the Lord of Chaos City and his family in the virtual universe. So at this time, Rorschach stayed inside the Star Tower. Previously, under the leadership of Sishinki, Luo Xia and Luo Feng took a rough look at the internal structure of the Star Tower. Rorschach's understanding was enlightened at that time, and various inspirations continued to burst out. Now he just took this opportunity to savor the inspiration he had just received. I saw Luo Xia sitting cross-legged in the main hall, and the power of laws appeared directly around him, turning into secret patterns of laws. These secret patterns merged and condensed, and finally turned into shining stars. Small stars swirled around Rorschach's body. Go. Rorschach suddenly opened his eyes, moved his finger forward, and suddenly a small shining star flew out, smashing the space in front of him into nothingness. The power of the law filled the air, making that area become extremely terrifying. Well, it's not bad. Although it's definitely not as good as my elder brother who directly mobilizes the ceiling stars to attack, my stars condensed with the power of the law also have great power. If the ceiling king touches it, he will be seriously injured even if he doesn't die. Luo Xia whispered and stood up with a smile. Luo Feng's consciousness had returned from the virtual universe. Luo Feng, who had returned to consciousness, said, I went to see my parents and teacher Chaos, but I haven't seen teacher Jinyan Wang yet. I plan to find teacher Jinyan Wang after I return to Earth. Rorschach smiled and said, then let's return to Earth now. Luo Feng said hesitantly, Xiao Xia, can you really teleport at will in the original universe and go wherever you want? Certainly. Luo Xia nodded confidently, reached out to grab his eldest brother Luo Feng, and then ordered the original universe, and a space channel immediately appeared in front of Luo Xia. Luo Xia took her eldest brother Luo Feng into the passage, and the space rippled slightly. When the two appeared again, they had returned to their home on Earth. Outside the villa in Minjiao community, Luo Hongguo and Gong Xinlan were waiting with their second son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren. When Luo Xia and Luo Feng suddenly appeared, the whole family was very happy and excited. Sister-in-law Su Xian burst into tears and threw herself into Luo Feng's arms. Third uncle. Luo Xia, who was not hugged by his wife, was called out by his nephew Luo Hai. Luo Xia looked at Luo Hai and said with a smile, "Have you been slacking off in recent years? How come you are only at the 9th level of Domain Master?" Luo Hai is already a grandfather, but in front of Luo Xia, he is still a junior. He scratched his head in embarrassment and said helplessly, "Third uncle, I have worked very hard." Growing up, he regarded his third uncle and father as his idols. Desire to transcend. But when he truly walked on this road to becoming a strong man, he realized how talented his father and third uncle were. That was basically a height beyond his reach. By the way, third uncle, these are the children of second uncle during the thousands of years since you disappeared. These are Luo Yun and Luo 11. You saw them last time you entered the virtual universe, and this is Luo Tao. Luo Yet. Luo Hai began to introduce several nieces and nephews to Luo Xia. They were all born to Luo Hua and Zhen Nan. Luo Hua didn't want Luo Xia and Luo Feng to be at home much. He and Zhen Nan have been living together, sleeping together when they have nothing to do, and inevitably they have more children. Third uncle. These juniors are also thousands of years old. At this time, everyone saluted Luo Xia respectfully. Luo Xia smiled and nodded, greeting his nephews and nieces one by one, and casually handed out 1,000 Hunyuan units as red envelopes to no one. Rightward arrow. Dad said that our family is finally reunited, and we will have to cook the New Year's Eve dinner by ourselves this year. The second brother Luo Hua came forward, hooked Luo Xia's shoulder, and walked towards the eldest brother Luo Feng. "Dad has told me that 2 pigs will be killed later. I will bother you too then. As for chickens, ducks, fish, and so on, Luo Ping and the others will deal with it." Hearing this, Luo Xia couldn't help but look at Luo Feng and both laughed. When the family lived in a low-rent house, the New Year's Eve dinner was not as sumptuous as it is now. If you wanted to eat pork at that time, you could only go to the supermarket to buy it. And it is limited, and you need to have something similar to a meat ticket to purchase it. At that time, if Luo Xia and others wanted to have meat for the New Year's Eve dinner, they could only save the meat coupons issued by the government, and then buy a lot of meat before the New Year, and make the meat into bacon for New Year's Eve. You can have a delicious New Year's Eve dinner. Of course, such tight days were gone forever after Luo Xia and Luo Hua made money online. In the days to come, the Luo family's life will get better and better. Now the villa in Minjiao community has been regarded as the old residence of the Luo family. The people who can come to this villa are basically the core members of the Luo family. On such a special day as today, very few children of the Luo family can come here. Except for direct juniors like Luo Ping and Luo Hai, only a few grandchildren can be present. So if you want everyone to sit down, you need to prepare 10 tables. The whole family was preparing meals, killing pigs, killing chickens, choosing vegetables. It was lively and prosperous, and for a while, all kinds of laughter rang out in the already somewhat old villa. Soon the family's meal was ready. Today on Earth, the Spring Festival Gala has become a global program. The family turned on the TV, and then each found a table to sit down. The table in the middle was naturally occupied by Luo Hongguo, Gong Xinlan, Luo Feng, Su Xian, Luo Hua, Zhen Nan, Luo Xia, Luo Ping, Luo Hai, Luo Yun, Luo 11. The other tables were occupied by grandchildren. Luo Hongguo first picked up the wine glass and said some words of blessing happily, and then the family happily toasted to celebrate and chatted while eating. When the New Year's Eve dinner was over, the younger generation had already left. The Luo Xia family sat on the sofa, talking together with the sound of the Spring Festival Gala on TV. I haven't been so happy for a long time. Luo Hongguo was a little drunk, his face was red, and he was talking with some alcohol at this time, but his expression was very happy and happy. In fact, Luo Hongguo's strength has been raised to the 9th level of the universe under the training of Luo Feng and others at all costs. If he drinks ordinary wine, he will not get drunk at all. But what the family drank tonight was good wine that could be sold for tens of thousands of Hunyuan units. No matter how powerful they were, if they were not at the immortal level, they would still get drunk. Gong Xinlan glanced at her husband, then looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng and said, "Since you two have become more and more successful and have been away from home for longer and longer periods of time, our family hasn't been reunited in reality like this for a long time, so tonight not only your father is happy, but I am also very happy." Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other, bowed their heads and said, "Dad, Mom, we will come back often in the future. Now that Luo Xia has enslaved the original universe, it is very convenient for him to go home, just a thought." Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 245. Luo Xia and Luo Feng spent more than a month with their families on Earth, and then they were very quiet and thoughtful. "Xioxia, I want to return to the Star Tower, and I need you to give me a ride." On this day, Luo Feng found Luo Xia and said this. Luo Xia was stunned for a moment and asked, "Brother, what else are you going to do in the Star Tower?" When Zhou Shank left, he told Luo Feng. Before he is unable to drive the Star Tower, he will temporarily leave the Star Tower on the 7th battlefield of the extraterritorial battlefield. Luo Xia was confused. When the eldest brother proposed to return to the Star Tower, did he intend to take the Star Tower away? Luo Feng said, "That's what I think. Aren't there many people looking for opportunities in the Star Tower? I just use the power of the Star Tower to recruit some foreign kings and immortals as servants." Luo Xia's eyes lit up. "Indeed, you have now become the master of the Star Tower. Although you cannot completely drive it, you can already use its power to suppress some of the immortal kings in the Star Tower." "That's right," Luo Feng nodded. "If we can enslave some alien kings and immortals, we can let them help us guard our home. When we are not at home, others will not dare to mess with our Luo family." When Luo Xia and Luo Feng lost news, many people thought that Luo Xia and Luo Feng might die, so many people had bad thoughts towards the Luo family. It was not until Luo Xia and Luo Feng returned one after another that those people considered themselves. "Put away your little thoughts." Luo Xia and Luo Feng both knew these things. "In that case, I will send you there right now," Luo Xia said, grabbing Luo Feng and taking him back to the Star Tower. Looking at the familiar hall, Luo Feng said with emotion, "Your infinite teleportation is so convenient for traveling and escaping. It's a shame that you thought of enslaving the original universe and you succeeded." Luo Xia smiled and said to Luo Feng, "Brother, do you want my help?" Luo Feng shook his head slightly. "I'm just catching a few slaves, you don't need to do anything." "Okay, if anything happens then, you can contact me directly in the virtual universe, and then I'll pick you up." "I'll go find the teacher first," Luo Xia said. "Well, you go ahead," Luo Feng nodded. So the two brothers divided their forces into two groups. Luo Feng went to the forbidden space of the Star Tower to capture the immortal king as a servant, while Luo Xia went to the virtual universe to find the Lord of Chaos City to discuss the matter of the original ancestor. Virtual Universe, Thunder Island. In the main hall of the Lord of Chaos City, Luo Xia teleported here directly after receiving the permission of the Lord of Chaos City. "Disciple, what do you want from me?" The Lord of Chaos City looked at Luo Xia and asked with a smile. Rorschach usually doesn't come to his hall very often. He will only come here when the Lord of Chaos City calls him. Therefore, the Lord of Chaos City was a little confused about Rorschach's arrival today. Could it be that his apprentice had encountered some trouble outside? "But I just got the news not long ago that he has returned to his home Earth. It's a bit strange." Rorschach was still on the battlefield outside the territory before, so why did he suddenly return to his home Earth? Thinking of this, the Lord of Chaos City asked directly, "By the way, disciple, I got news before that you have returned to your home Earth, and your eldest brother has also returned. How did you return from the battlefield outside the territory in a short period of time, from home? The battlefield outside the territory is very far away from the Earth. Without the teleportation channel built by human immortality, it would take at least millions, or even hundreds of millions of years for Luoxia and Luofen to return to Earth from the extraterrestrial battlefield in a spaceship. Teacher, I enslaved the original universe, Rorschach said respectfully. The Lord of Chaos City was stunned. When he heard Luoxia's words, he thought he was hallucinating. What did you say? Teacher, I enslaved the original will of the original universe and am now the master of the original universe, so I can force the original universe to do some things. Returning to my home Earth from the battlefield outside the territory was the method of the original universe. Rorschach said. The Lord of Chaos City finally understood at this time. His calm face showed a rare look of shock, and he asked in surprise, You enslaved the original universe? Yes. How is this possible? The Lord of Chaos City subconsciously retorted, but he quickly realized that Rorschach would not deceive him with such a thing. He took a breath, calmed down his mood slightly, and sorted out his thoughts at the same time, and then asked, How did you do it? Forget it. You don't need to tell me the process. The Lord of Chaos City shook his head without waiting for Rorschach to answer. Just tell me directly, what can you do after enslaving the original universe? Rorschach began to introduce the benefits of enslaving the original universe to the Chaos City Lord. The Lord of Chaos City became more and more surprised as he listened, and finally asked, if, disciple, if a strong person in our human race dies, and a master of the universe like me reverses time and space to resurrect them, can we reduce some of the cost? Rorschach communicated with the original universe and nodded slightly. Yes, in the future, our human race will reduce the cost by at least 30% for reversing time and space, resurrecting and other methods. The Lord of Chaos City was a little happy when he heard this. Although the Lord of the universe has the means to reverse time and space and resurrect others, it is rarely used because the cost is extremely high. Unless the person to be resurrected is of great importance to mankind, it will not be used easily. I don't know if you know anything about the original ancestor from the original universe. The Lord of Chaos City took the opportunity to say the name of the original ancestor. When he talked about the original ancestor, his tone became very respectful. Luoxia said, Teacher, I came to you today just to talk about the master. I have learned from the original universe the ins and outs of the suppression of the original ancestor. The Lord of Chaos City couldn't help but ask, what did the original universe say? Why was my teacher, the original ancestor, suppressed? The reason is that the original ancestor wanted to seize the original universe, so he was suppressed by the original universe, Rorschach simply explained. Upon hearing this, the Lord of Chaos City opened his mouth. When the original ancestor was suppressed, he did not know the inside story. Now that he learned from his disciples that his teacher actually wanted to seize the original universe, he realized how defiant his teacher was. He actually wants to seize the original universe. You are worthy of being your own teacher. The Lord of Chaos City sighed in his heart, looked at Luoxia, and asked expectantly, Disciple, can you now make the decision and let the original universe release the original ancestor? Of course it's possible. Facing the expectant gaze of the Lord of Chaos City, Luoxia nodded with a smile. I came to the teacher today just to discuss this matter. Welcoming the original ancestor to return is a big deal. The Lord of Chaos City nodded. The return of the original ancestor was indeed a big event. Whether to make the return of the original ancestor public is a topic worth discussing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 246. The Lord of Chaos City was thinking and suddenly said to Logos, go to a place with me first. Where to go? Rorschach was confused. However, the Lord of Chaos City waved his hand and wrapped him up for teleportation. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at a grand and simple hall. In this main hall, stood a giant man with long hair, who looked like a savage. Chaos, you sent me a message saying that you have something important to talk to me about face to face? What is it? The giant man who looked like a savage asked the Lord of Chaos City. His voice boomed like thunder, rolling through the grand and simple hall. Senior brother, let me introduce you first. The Lord of Chaos City looked at the giant man with a smile and planned to introduce Rorschach to him. But the giant man looked at Logos and laughed loudly. Do you still need to introduce me? Logos, right? The first place in the genius battle, in terms of talent and understanding, I heard that he is the most powerful in the history of our human race. As he spoke, he seemed to be interested. A huge axe suddenly appeared in his hand and said to Logos, others say that your understanding is extremely high and that you are the strongest in the history of the human race. Now I will use an axe, let's see how much you can understand. The Lord of Chaos City knows the character of his senior brother. Seeing that he was interested, he smiled and stood aside. Logos glanced at the Chaos City Lord and nodded towards the giant savage man. Watch it. The giant savage man warned, and then he waved the giant axe in his hand. Boom! In an instant, the grand and simple hall disappeared from Rorschach's sight, leaving only the giant axe carrying infinite destructive power, cutting space, cutting time, and cutting the universe. The galaxy was shattered and annihilated under this axe, and the universe was here. Reopen chaos with one blow. It seems like a simple axe, but it contains the most original mystery of time and space, the secrets and rules of the operation of various laws. At this moment, all Logos could see was the axe of great destruction. His understanding is exploding crazily, and all kinds of inspirations appear. In the sight of the Lord of Chaos City, Rorschach seemed to stand frozen on the spot as his senior brother swung an axe. Not long after, the galaxy sword suddenly appeared in Rorschach's hand. Then, Rorschach waved the sword in his hand. For a moment, the Chaos City Lord and the giant savage man were surprised. Because the long sword wielded by Rorschach incorporates all the mysteries and laws of the giant man wielding the giant axe. A snort. The main hall was cut open, as if all the laws and mysteries were revealed, as if the world was about to return to chaos. Call. The next second, the virtual universe system restored the main hall. Rorschach also put away the long sword in his hand. The giant savage man looked at Rorschach in surprise and admiration, and said, I now admit that your intelligence talent is the strongest in the history of the human race. Even I, at your level, cannot instantly use my axe. I realized the sword strike just now. Hearing this, Logos smiled and said respectfully, the founder of the giant axe deserves the award. Ha ha ha, the founder of the giant axe laughed. No need to be modest then. He looked at the Lord of Chaos City and said, tell me, why did you come to me today? You didn't just come to show off to me. Disciple. The Lord of Chaos City smiled and said, of course not. I came to you today because it has something to do with the teacher. Teacher, the founder of the giant axe was startled. The Lord of Chaos City stopped pretending and said directly, my disciple enslaved the original universe, and now I can release the teacher in advance. The founder of the giant axe blinked, looked at Rorschach in disbelief, and then looked at the Lord of Chaos City. What did you say? Slave the original universe? Real or fake? At their level, they naturally know that the original universe has its own will. But they never thought that they could enslave the original universe. Is this possible? Can it succeed? That is the original universe. The founder of the giant axe has a thought right now. Is his junior brother asleep? How come he has become the master of the universe and talks in his sleep with his eyes open? Of course it's true. The Lord of Chaos City nodded. Seeing that the founder of the giant axe had this unbelievable attitude, he smiled. Wasn't it the same when he just heard the news? Can I still lie to my senior brother? Of course I know you won't lie to me. The founder of Giant Axe looked at Rorschach and said to the Lord of Chaos City, "It's just that what you said is too unbelievable. Did Rorschach really enslave the original universe?" He asked again. Yes, it was Rorschach who answered this time. The founder of the Giant Axe looked at Rorschach steadily. He was accepting the impossible fact. After a while, he burst out laughing, almost crying. After the original ancestor was suppressed by the original universe, almost all the pressure from the human race fell on him, the Lord of Chaos City, and others. Especially him, because he is the only strongest person in the universe in the human race. The responsibilities and pressure he bears are much greater than others. The founder of Giant Axe never expected that when he was under the greatest pressure, a genius who had not yet grown up in the human race could enslave the primitive universe. This is an incredible thing. If you think about it for a moment, you can understand that the primitive universe was the benefits that slavery can bring to mankind. It can be said that Rorschach, who enslaved the original universe, has made contributions to mankind that have completely surpassed the contributions that the founder of Giant Axe and the Lord of Chaos City can make to the human race. Okay. The founder of the Giant Axe couldn't help but patted Luo Xia on the back. Lao Huai was pleased and said, "I didn't expect you, Luo Xia, could do such an outrageous thing. Since you can release the teacher, then let him go. I now in the secret realm of the universe see, I will come back as soon as possible." The cosmic sea is a place that gave birth to the original universe, filled with endless chaotic airflow. It is so vast that even true God-level experts have not yet been able to discover the edge of the cosmic sea. I understand, founder of the Great Axe. Rorschach nodded. The Lord of Chaos City looked at the founder of the Giant Axe, and said, "Brother, be careful. Luo Xia and I will go to liberate the teacher first." "Well, you go ahead." The founder of Giant Axe nodded. "When the teacher comes back, you can send me a message. If there are no problems, I will be online immediately." "I know." The Lord of Chaos City nodded, agreed, and took Rorschach to bid farewell to the founder of the Giant Axe. "I didn't expect that our human race would have such a talented and adventurous genius." The founder of Giant Axe looked at the position where Luo Xia and the Lord of Chaos City left, and was filled with emotion. He knew very well how difficult it was to enslave the original universe. Even the strongest person in the universe like him could not enslave the original universe, but Rorschach did something that the strongest person in their universe could not do. In the view of the founder of Giant Axe, Rorschach's ability to enslave the primitive universe is definitely a miracle for the entire primitive universe and even the entire universe. See. Teacher. The founder of the Giant Axe thought of his teacher, the original ancestor, and his eyes gradually became firm. In order to see the teacher as soon as possible, I must speed up. Then the treasure, I am determined to get it. He snorted, and his voice was like thunder exploding in the hall. Immediately afterwards, the founder of the Giant Axe went offline and disappeared into the hall. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 247. After leaving the hall of the founder of the Giant Axe, Rorschach and the Lord of Chaos City came to the palace of the Lord of Chaos City. "Where are you now?" Chaos City Lord asked. Rorschach said, "I am here at the Star Tower now." The Lord of Chaos City frowned. Star Tower. He thought of another of his disciples, Luo Xia's eldest brother Luo Feng, who had not been heard from for more than 6,000 years, and what happened in the Star Tower. The Lord of Chaos City did not ask any more questions, and just said, "You don't have anything important to do in the Star Tower, right? If not, you come directly to the headquarters." "It's nothing important, I just sent my eldest brother here, Luoxia said. Then you go back to the headquarters directly, Chaos City Lord said. You should be able to ask the original universe to send the original ancestor to the headquarters, right? Rorschach smiled and said, of course. Chaos City Lord said, then I will wait for you at the headquarters. Good teacher. Rorschach agreed and left the virtual universe. He returned to reality and teleported directly back to the edge of the supercontinent where the headquarters was located. Rorschach took out the falling ink star and drove directly into the headquarters. On the tarmac, Rorschach saw a familiar figure. Junior brother, you are here. Luoxia looked at Lord Gai in surprise. Senior brother, why are you here? The teacher said you were coming, so I'm waiting here. Lord Gai looked at Luoxia with a smile and led Luoxia towards the palace of the Lord of Chaos City. Junior brother, I have heard about what happened on the battlefields outside the territory these years. I heard that many powerful foreigners wanted to kill you, but you were killed in return. Even Venerable Lujin of the Machine Tribe died in your hands. Haha, say get up. When I was still the Realm Lord, I met Venerable Lujin on the battlefield outside the territory. Luoxia was a little curious. Senior brother, do you know Venerable Lujin? I fought several times on the battlefield outside the territory. I almost killed him once, but in the end I let him escape. I didn't expect that he would live to become the Lord of the Universe, Venerable Gai said. So that's it? Rorschach nodded. While they were talking, they had arrived in front of a hall full of technology. Venerable Gai said, Junior brother, the teacher has ordered you to go in. Okay, Senior brother Luoxia nodded and walked towards the main hall. The Reverend Gai was waiting quietly in front of the palace, looking like he would not let anyone get close to him. In the main hall, Luoxia saw the Lord of Chaos City waiting here. Let's begin, the Lord of Chaos City said. Luoxia nodded slightly and ordered the original universe to release the original ancestor. Has it started yet? Chaos City Lord asked nervously. Seeing the teacher's appearance, Rorschach said, it has already started, it will take a little time. Upon hearing this, the Lord of Chaos City could only suppress his nervousness. Time passes slowly. Suddenly, a powerful wave appeared in the hall. I saw the space in the center of the hall twisting to form a space wormhole. Then, a vague figure immediately passed through the space wormhole and appeared in the hall. This scene directly caused the Chaos City Lord's body to tremble. He looked at that figure, his eyes full of excitement. After walking a few steps in front of the man in white robe, the Lord of Chaos City knelt down and cried excitedly, shouting, Teacher! How long? The original ancestor was not only a teacher to him, but also a father-like figure in his life. After the original ancestor was suppressed, he and the founder of the giant axe worked hard and never dared to relax at all. They have been doing their best to protect the original ancestor. The human race career opened up. I just don't want to let down my original ancestor. Now that the original ancestor has returned, the Lord of Chaos City is really excited. Although he is already the master of the universe who has lived for endless eras, he is also in a state of agitation and bursting into tears. Don't be such a child. The original ancestor helped the Lord of Chaos City, who was kneeling on the ground with a kind smile on his face. Teacher. The Lord of Chaos City took a breath and looked at the original ancestor, and the turbulent emotions in his heart gradually calmed down. The original ancestor asked, Giant Axe is in the Cosmic Sea now? Yes, Senior brother, he entered the Cosmic Sea not long ago, Chaos City Lord replied. It was said that it was not long ago, but in fact it has been almost 10,000 years since the founder of the Giant Axe entered the Cosmic Sea. The original ancestor nodded, then looked at Luoxia, smiled and shouted, Luoxia. Original ancestor Luoxia saluted respectfully. Luoxia, I have paid attention to you a long time ago, Yuanzi said. Although he was suppressed by the original universe, with the help of the virtual universe, he can understand many things that happened in the original universe. I noticed your existence as early as the genius battle. The original ancestor was filled with emotion. I knew at that time that you were destined to shine in the future, but I didn't expect that you could do something that I couldn't do. It's amazing that he succeeded in enslaving the original universe. Rorschach smiled slightly. Thanks to you, I was able to be released from the original universe. I'm afraid I can't repay the kindness you've shown me, but I'll just accept my bow. The original ancestor said that he was about to bow to Logos-Ya. Logos-Ya quickly stopped him and said, "Didn't the original ancestor try to hurt me? According to seniority, you are my master, so I should save you." How could the original ancestor do this? The original ancestor was stopped in the middle of his worship. He could only say, "If you are kind, you are kind. You deserve to be worshipped by me. You don't have to care about seniority or anything like that." The Lord of Chaos City said helplessly, "Teacher is such a person." Rorschach hurriedly changed the subject and asked, "Original ancestor, I learned from the original universe that you were suppressed because you wanted to take over its body. So, why did you want to take over the original universe?" The Lord of Chaos City was also very curious. He also wanted to find out the motive of the original ancestor to take over the original universe. The original ancestor had a complicated expression and began to slowly tell the cause and effect of the year. He said leisurely, "At that time, I rose rapidly. Even in the first and second reincarnation eras, no one was my opponent. I was invincible in the universe C at that time. However, facing the ancestors of the two Holy Land universes in the universe C, I was very cautious." Rorschach listened quietly. Because he enslaved the original universe, he naturally knew what the so-called first reincarnation era and two Holy Land universes were. The so-called first reincarnation era and second reincarnation era refer to the birth, evolution, operation, weakening, and destruction of the original universe. This is a reincarnation. Today's original universe is in the third reincarnation era. The Holy Land universe is the internal universe opened up by the Void True God after they passed through the reincarnation, and it evolved directly. The original ancestor met the gazes of Logos-Ya and the Lord of Chaos City and continued. "At that time, I was very curious about the ancestors of the two Holy Land universes, and I felt very strange. I have always wanted to understand one thing: those two ancestors have undoubtedly transcended the reincarnation and are truly invincible and lonely. Why do they stay in the Holy Land universe and not come out? Based on this doubt, I have a guess in my mind. I think the ancestors of the two Holy Land universes are not unwilling to come out, but they may not be able to come out of their own Holy Land universe. After guessing this conclusion, I have a judgment: perhaps, passing through the reincarnation is a conspiracy. It is a conspiracy of the original universe's original will. Based on this conclusion, I went to war with the original universe, wanting to destroy the original will, and my will directly became the original will of the original universe." The Lord of Chaos City suddenly realized that the reason why the teacher was suppressed by the original universe was like this. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 248. The breaking through reincarnation in the original ancestor's mouth refers to that when a person's strength and realm reach the level of the void real body or even the eternal true God, he will be required by the supreme rules to break through a transmission channel to the origin continent. This process is called reincarnation. In fact, it is just a reincarnation passage leading to the continent of origin. This reincarnation channel serves two purposes. The first use is that the life born in the original universe reaches the level of the true God of the void and can enter the continent of origin through the reincarnation channel. The second purpose is to guide the souls of life in the original universe into the continent of origin for reincarnation. Of course, weak souls cannot pass through the reincarnation channel, and only powerful souls can pass through. As a life conceived by the original universe, Although the original ancestor was powerful, his vision was limited and he did not know the secrets of these information at all, so he misunderstood the original universe as an enemy. Now that we were talking about breaking into reincarnation, the original ancestor took the opportunity to ask Rorschach, "Rorschach, can you learn the true purpose of breaking through reincarnation from the original universe?" Logosya nodded and explained to the original ancestor and the Lord of Chaos City. The original universe knew about the passage of reincarnation. It's just that the original universe knows very little about the continent of origin. It was a very mysterious place. Nowadays, if we want to say that the person who knows the origin continent the most, perhaps only the mountain guest who was once the god king of Jinn knows enough about it. After hearing Logosya's explanation, the original ancestors and the Lord of Chaos City suddenly became enlightened. The original ancestor even smiled bitterly. Unexpectedly, he was suppressed by the original universe because of a wrong guess. But who would have thought that reincarnation would actually be like this? Well, all I can say is, time is destiny. The original ancestor shook his head and soon stopped worrying about reincarnation. He looked at the Lord of Chaos City and said, "Come with me to the virtual universe to meet the giant axe." Logosya said at this time, "Original ancestor, teacher, my eldest brother seems to have encountered some trouble in the Star Tower. I want to go over to help him, so I will leave first." The original ancestor waved his hand, "Go ahead and let us know if anything happens." "Yes, original ancestor," Logosya nodded, commanded the original universe, teleported, and returned to Logofeng's side. "Brother." When Logosya arrived, Logofeng happened to take a peak-level king named King of Heavenly Formation as his slave. "Xioxia, you're here." Logofeng was surprised to see Logosya suddenly appear. At this time, next to Logofeng, there were 3 strong men at the peak of kingship. They were all strong foreigners that he had enslaved in the Star Tower. Logosya glanced at these powerful men and felt a wave of fluctuations emanating from the surrounding space. However, someone used space blockade to lock the surrounding starry sky, making it impossible to teleport. Logofeng's expression changed slightly and he whispered, "Those guys came very quickly." Logosya looked at him and asked, "Do you want to leave? There are 16 strong men surrounding us, including 9 King of Ultimate, 3 King of Peak Soul Masters, and 4 King of Peak." The servants such as the Heavenly Formation King and the Heart Lianing King looked at Logosya in surprise. They didn't know how their master's brother got the enemy's information in such detail. "Xiaoxia, can you break the space blockade?" Logofeng asked. Rorschach nodded, "Of course. This kind of space blockade does not require the intervention of the original universe. Rorschach can directly break it with the Galaxy Sword." "Okay, let's go directly," Logofeng said directly. In the process of enslaving the alien immortals here, he has aroused the dissatisfaction and hostility of many powerful people. If he is surrounded by those people, it may cause big trouble. Since he can run away, why stay? Rorschach got the order from his eldest brother and asked the original universe to take action. Rightward arrow. I saw a burst of space fluctuations, and the blockade in the space was lifted. Logofeng quickly took King Liangzin and King Tianzhen into the World Ring, and then teleported away directly under the leadership of Logosya. When the encircling King Immortal rushed over, Logosya and Logofeng had already returned to the main hall inside the Star Tower. The strong men who came after him were furious. They were confused. What's going on? How could the blocked space be broken so easily? These powerful people searched the scene for a while, but they couldn't figure out how Logofeng and the others broke the space blockade. Returning to the main hall of Star Tower, Logofeng breathed a sigh of relief. He sat down on the ground and asked Logosya, "Xiaoxia, have you released the original ancestor?" "Well, it was released not long ago." Logosya also sat down, and the 2 brothers chatted in the main hall of the Star Tower in a relaxed manner. Where is the original ancestor now? Luo Feng asked curiously. After hearing the name of the original ancestor not long ago, Luo Feng went to find out more about it. Because he is the direct disciple of the Lord of Chaos City, he has very high authority and can barely access the information about the original ancestor. After understanding part of the information about the original ancestor, Luo Feng admired the original ancestor very much, a legendary figure of the human race, and wanted to meet him and pay his respects to this big man who dared to seize the original universe. Rorschach replied, "The original ancestor is now at the company headquarters." "It's at the headquarters. I'll definitely be able to meet him if I have a chance in the future," Luo Feng said. Luo Xia glanced at him and said, "Brother, if you want to see the original ancestor, I will take you there now." Luo Feng looked a little hesitant, thought about it, shook his head and said, Forget it, let it be. I don't know what to say when I meet the original ancestor. I heard that our human virtual universe is the handiwork of the original ancestor. Is it true or not?" "It's true," Luo Xia nodded. "The virtual universe is a secret method created by the original ancestor. It was used to seize the original universe. It failed in the end, but it made a huge contribution to the prosperity of our human race." Luo Feng nodded with deep understanding. The virtual universe has had a great impact on the human race. Most of the reasons why humans can claim to be the pinnacle clan in the original universe lie in this virtual universe. Without the virtual universe, it would be impossible for human beings to be as prosperous as they are now. They can communicate and transmit information at any time across trillions of light years. It can be said that there is no virtual universe. There would be no strength and prosperity of the human race in the original universe. "Brother, what are you going to do next?" Luo Xia suddenly asked Luo Feng. Luo Feng said, "Now I have accumulated enough military exploits in the battlefields outside the territory, and there is a lot to digest in these 6,000 years of inheritance. I plan to go back to Chaos City for a good retreat. After the retreat is completed, I will go to some universes. Enter the secret realm." Luo Xia said, "Just in time, I also want to go back to Chaos City." Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia and said, "Speaking of which, Xioxia, you are already immortal. With your understanding of the law, you should be able to be promoted to the Lord of the Universe soon, right?" "Yeah," Luo Xia nodded. Rorschach had long since fulfilled the requirement to become the Lord of the Universe. His understanding of the law of origin has now reached the level where he can transform into the origin. But in order to consolidate his own strength and foundation, he did not continue to make breakthroughs. Luo Feng had already expected Luo Xia's rapid progress. He felt a little emotional in his heart and set a goal for himself. After returning to Chaos City, start trying to break through and become immortal. The two brothers rested for a while in the main hall of Star Tower, and then Luo Xia took Luo Feng back to the headquarters of Virtual Universe Company. They took a spaceship here and headed to Chaos City in the original universe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 249. Are those His Highness Luo Xia and His Highness Luo Feng? It's them. I heard that His Highness Luo Xia and His Highness Luo Feng have disappeared on the battlefield outside the territory for thousands of years. No one has heard from them. Many people thought they were dead, but they didn't expect that they all came back alive. His Royal Highness Luo Xia seems to have become immortal. When did it happen? His aura is so powerful. Even if I feel it slightly, I feel like my scalp is numb. It's so scary. His Royal Highness Luo Xia must have broken through and become immortal while on the battlefield outside the territory, right? With His Highness's qualifications, after he breaks through immortality, he should be a king-level powerhouse. It seems that although His Highness Luo Feng is the biological brother of His Highness Luo Xia, his qualifications and talents are still much different. Thousands of years have passed, almost 10,000 years ago, and he is still in the realm of the Realm Lord. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. This is normal. Many geniuses have also stayed in the Realm Master stage. You must know that in the Realm Master stage, consciousness can come to the origin of the universe and can clearly understand the original laws of the universe. That's right. Amid the discussion among the crew, the spaceship quickly arrived at Chaos City. Luo Xia and Luo Feng flew out of the spacecraft and returned to this familiar place again. Thousands of years after leaving Chaos City, Luo Xia came back for the second time, but Luo Feng came back for the third time. Xiao Xia, I'm going to see my teacher King Jinian first. After arriving in the city, Luo Feng said to Luo Xia. Well, brother, go ahead. Luo Xia nodded and watched Luo Feng fly towards King Jinian's residence. He himself found a free pavilion and prepared to retreat. When Luo Xia broke into the 19th floor of Tongtian Bridge, he obtained the permanent right of residence in Chaos City, not to mention that he is now the direct disciple of the Lord of Chaos City. Entering the attic, Rorschach began to sink his mind and digest the experiences and insights gained over the past 1,000 years. Between his eyebrows, the mark of the star divine tree began to shine. Immediately afterwards, the shadow of a small star sacred tree appeared above his head, and on the extending branches, 10 law fruits hung. Rorschach has been able to confirm that the star sacred tree, like the star tower, is the most powerful treasure. The star god tree he inherited from the star god king still has a lot of room for excavation. It's just that his current strength is still very low, and he can only use a little bit of the power of the starry divine tree, such as borrowing the endless pressure of the origin of the universe, or communicating with the origin, erupting the ocean torrent of laws to impact, etc. These are the simplest uses. If Rorschach's realm is high enough, he can use the star sacred tree to unleash even more powerful power. On the other side, Luo Feng has arrived at King Jinian's residence. Teacher. Luo Feng bowed respectfully to King Jinian. King Jinian sat above him and looked at Luo Feng. Is this how you come to see me as your master? Luo Feng chuckled, turning his hands, and a fiery red wine bottle appeared in his hand. Is this purple fire ape wine? King Jinian's eyes lit up, and he stopped teasing his disciple. He stepped forward, took the bottle, and caressed him. He loves wine very much. What's more, the wine Luo Feng brought this time was such good wine that even if King Feng had to spend all his money to buy it, he might not be able to buy it. Is your brother back too? King Jinian poured the purple fire ape wine and motioned to Luo Feng to pour it for him. After taking a sip of the wine, he asked Luo Feng. Luo Feng nodded. Well, he is also in Chaos City now. Your brother is incredible. Like you, Bolan and the others, he is still at the Realm Lord level, but he has already entered immortality. And judging by his aura, he is probably a little stronger than me. King Jinian said with emotion while recalling the taste of the purple fire ape wine. Luo Feng was slightly surprised. Teacher, you are the invincible king. I heard from Teacher Chaos that your strength is comparable to that of the average universe lord. How come my brother is still stronger than you? King Jinian shook his head and said with a smile, Brother Yu's understanding is extremely high. As early as when he was at the cosmic level, his understanding of the laws has caught up with us, the invincible kings. By the time of the World Lord, his understanding of the laws will only be better than we are stronger. Hearing this, Luo Feng nodded secretly. Now that he is in the Realm Master stage, he knows how special this level is. It can be said that even people who have a poor understanding of the laws can improve their understanding of the laws hundreds or thousands of times after entering the Realm Master stage. And with Rorschach's understanding, this kind of improvement will only be tens of thousands, or even millions of times. Let's not talk about your brother, but let's talk about yourself. How have you gained from these thousands of years of fighting in foreign battlefields? King Jinian looked at Luo Feng and asked. Luo Feng poured wine into King Jinian's wine glass and said, the harvest is great. On the battlefield outside the territory, he not only realized the ultimate secret skill, but also obtained the inheritance of the most powerful treasure, the Star Tower. Now the strength of the will, tempered by the Star Tower, is enough to crush most of the universe sages. But compared to what his brother Rorschach has gained. Thinking of Luo Xia's gains on the battlefield outside the territory, Luo Feng couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What made him feel most outrageous was Rorschach's enslavement of the original universe. To be honest, if Rorschach hadn't said so, who would have thought of enslaving the original universe? The days passed. Rorschach is immersed in practice. Now that he has the Star God tree, he can face the origin of the universe directly. Not only can he clearly sense the operation of various laws of the original universe, but he can also directly understand the origin of life through the original universe. I have said before. The original universe and the world beasts are the existences second only to the supreme law in the universe. One of them is the source of life, and the other is the source of destruction. These two sources are more powerful and more original than the original laws of the universe. Now Luo Xia has completely understood the 10 basic laws. If he wants to go further, he needs to comprehend various original powers, such as the source of water and fire, the source of light and darkness, the source of time and space. After mastering these original powers, he can impact the Lord of Chaos. In the explanation of Zhou Shank, all kinds of laws come from chaos, and chaos is the ultimate law. Of course, if he can master the law of chaos, Luo Xia will become the Lord of Chaos. He is now the immortal king who is invincible, and he is still far away from the Lord of Chaos. Now Luo Xia is trying to comprehend the life source of the original universe. Under his heaven-defying understanding, all kinds of mysteries and laws are boiling in his mind and flowing in his heart. Time passes. While Luo Xia was in seclusion, Luo Feng had already done a lot of things outside. He first passed the Realm Master level Tongtian Mountain. This level of Tongtian Mountain, as long as you can pass it, your strength and talent are geniuses that only appear once in millions of eras of the human race. After that, he went to the Tongtian Bridge and shocked everyone by passing the 21st floor. As Luo Feng passed the Tongtian Bridge, many people also thought of Luo Xia. Many people secretly muttered, even the current Luo Feng can pass the 21st floor, so what level of the Tongtian Bridge can Luo Xia, who was known as the first genius of the human race, reach now? Can he pass it? If he can pass it, doesn't it mean that Luo Xia's understanding of the law has reached the level of the master of the universe? Many people began to look forward to it, hoping that Luo Xia could also pass the Tongtian Bridge after a long absence. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 250. Amid everyone's expectations, Rorschach has been immersed in the understanding of the origin of life. The days passed. Luo Xia finally woke up from the state of spiritual cultivation this day. As soon as he opened his eyes, Babada said, Rorschach, your teacher, the Lord of Chaos City, sent you an email. What did the teacher say in the email? As long as your human strength reaches the king level, you will be directly invited to join an organization called Hongmeng. Your teacher, the Lord of Chaos City, sent an email to remind you that he has helped you join Hongmeng. You will enter later in the virtual universe, you can go directly to the special plane where Hongmeng organization is located. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow Diamond Suit. Oh, I see. Rorschach nodded to express his understanding, and then asked, by the way, Babada, have you heard any news about the original ancestor in the virtual universe? Babada shook his head, no information about the original ancestor has been leaked. Luo Xia touched his chin, it seems that the teacher and the others are planning to hide the return of the original ancestor. Then, he looked at Babata and asked, besides joining Hongmen, is there anything else? Babata said, no more. It's better not to have it. Now I have absorbed all the experiences and insights on the battlefield outside the territory. I am still thinking, Babata, you didn't want to tell me who teacher Huanbo's enemy was back then. Now you can tell me. Rorschach asked, looking at Babata. Babata was startled, and then said excitedly, are you planning to avenge your old master? The reason why Yanbo is called the Old Master is because after Rorschach became the invincible immortal, Babata recognized Rorschach as her master. Certainly. Luoxia nodded seriously, without teacher Hu Yanbo's legacy, my eldest brother and I would not have been able to reach this point today. As a disciple of teacher Hu Yanbo, of course I must avenge him. Babata's eyes filled with tears. She shed tears. After a while, she gathered her emotions, wiped her tears and said. The person who killed the old master back then was an immortal king named Sarepua, and his title was the Demon Hand King. Tens of thousands of years have passed since he killed the old master, and we don't know what his strength is. But it won't be much better than before. Not everyone is a pervert like Rorschach. Strength improvement is like drinking water. Most people's progress in strength is like a snail's progress. Many immortals may take tens of thousands or millions of years to make slight progress. Because the understanding of the law becomes more and more difficult the further you go. Only a genius like Rorschach can understand the laws that are extremely difficult for others without judging them by common sense. For Rorschach, it is like eating and drinking water. With his strong understanding, his understanding of the laws is only it will go faster and faster, deeper and deeper. The Demon Hand King Sarepua. Rorschach whispered and directly asked the original universe. After a while, he got the specific location of the Demon Hand King Sarepua. Babata, let's go, he greeted Babata, let's go and avenge teacher Huanbo. Babata nodded, yeah. Rorschach took Babata and teleported to the location of the Demon Hand King directly with the help of the original universe. Magic Hand Star. Luoxia looked at a star in front of him and sneered, do you just name your planet after your own title? Tisk. He shook his head and took a step forward, causing ripples in the void. Rorschach disappeared into thin air. When he reappeared, he was already standing in the sky above a magnificent hall. The star field where the Magic Hand Star is located belongs to a cosmic country called Gulun. Judging from the information obtained by Rorschach, this star field was occupied by the Demon Hand King. Since he came here, this star field has become a forbidden area of Gulun Universe Kingdom. Many people dare not come here to provoke the immortal gods. Although the immortal gods are gatekeepers in Chaos City. But outside, the immortal god is just like its name, a godlike existence with a noble status and powerful strength. Even a cosmic country would not dare to provoke it easily. Below Rorschach, an immortal god was telling a group of maids, the demon emperor has a bad temper recently. Be careful, don't anger the demon emperor and lose your life. The maids shivered and listened respectfully. After the immortal god finished his instructions, he waved his hand and said, everyone, come in. More than 800 maids began to carry dinner plates, lined up front and back, and walked towards the depths of the palace. Suddenly, a sound fell from the sky. Demon Hand King. The sound was loud and powerful, and the terrifying pressure came down like a mountain. These maids could not resist at all. They all crawled to the ground under the pressure, and some with weak willpower even fainted. Who is this? What a terrifying pressure, it feels 10 times and 100 times more powerful than when the master was at his strongest. Did the master's enemies come to the door? The maids who were still awake secretly exclaimed. Before they could react, the roof of the palace suddenly exploded, and then a grey figure rose into the sky. But before the grey figure reached the highest point, he was kicked back by a cyan foot shadow halfway. Just hear a roar. The void was directly crushed by the cyan feet, and then the grey figure flew back at a faster speed. After throwing enough blood in the air, it crashed thousands of meters deep into the ground with a bang. The ground suffered a heavy blow and cracked open, layers of soil exploded and turned over. Fortunately, the maids all have cultivation levels. Although they are not strong, they are still at stellar level and cosmic level. At the moment when the earth overturned and cracked and shattered, they all dodged away one by one. Rorschach raised his feet slightly and looked down at the center of the crater with a diameter of tens of thousands of meters. He saw a sinister man with an eagle head standing up with difficulty, looking up in horror and fear. The immortal god who dodged not far away was extremely panicked at this time. The master was kicked and seriously injured. Who is this person? Why did he kill the master when they met? Is he an enemy that the master has offended before? Under the ground, the demon hand king took a breath for a while. He suppressed the injuries on his body, slowly floated up, saluted Rorschach, who was looking down from above, and said, "My lord, you are a strong man at the peak of the title of king. I don't know how I have offended your lord. Please tell me. I will do my best to make up for it. If you can't calm your anger, you will take my life." Luo Xia looked at him and said, "How do you know that I am a strong man at the peak of the title of king? With my strength, the only people who can seriously injure me with one kick are those who are above the peak of the title of king." The demon hand king said, his tone still very respectful, "I have suffered a great loss in my body now, and it is impossible to escape in front of you, so I can only try my best to save my life. If I can't save it, I can only accept my fate." His voice was loud and he did not hide the fact that he had been seriously injured. Of course, he wasn't worried about his affairs being overheard by the maids and servants below. If you can survive, these maids and servants who know what happened today will be killed by him.